These levels are animal, mass, aspiration, individual, discipline, experience, and mastery. Click on the button and get involved in 6 Minutes to Success. I've been doing it for a long time. It's helped me earn millions of dollars, and it'll help you do exactly the same. We never want to judge another person or another situation. Let's just observe the way it is. And you know, by working with our consciousness, we can become more and more aware. Like the way to fly airplanes has always been here. The thoughts, or the thought stuff that created the thoughts that built the idea that eventually introduced us to New Kingdom, it was always here. The thought stuff that created the thought that built the idea to build the internet and have email and have all the beautiful conveniences that are very commonly accepted today was always here. We had to develop the awareness for doing that. Waddles pointed out to look upon the appearance of poverty will produce corresponding forms in your own mind. Instead, you must hold to the truth there is no poverty, there is only abundance. So as we get involved in the first principle, what we're really getting involved in is awareness. We want to become aware that everything originates in our own mind first and then materializes in our outside world. My old mentor Val Vanderwall and I worked with these 7 levels of awareness. These levels are animal, mass, aspiration, individual, discipline, experience, and mastery. Now we start out with our animalistic consciousness. We end up with mastery. How do we move from this animalistic state to mastery? Well, first of all, let's take a look at what happens when we're operating on an animalistic state. What does the animal do? The animal reacts. It's fight or flight. What a lot of people do, a lot of people react. They see something and they react to it. What does the person do that's mastered their life? They respond to it. See, there's a big difference. React or respond. Now, the reaction, it's fight or flight. On responding, it's stop and think. Think and act. There's an enormous difference. Well, when we move away from this animalistic way of life, what do? Well, we fall into another level that we call mass consciousness, and we just go with the crowd. All you have to do is go into any high-rise building in any city in the world today around lunch hour and watch people come pouring out of offices. You could get trampled if you didn't get out of the way. Why do they do it? Well, it's noon. Everybody goes to eat at noon. You'd say, well, are they hungry? No, but it doesn't matter. They eat. It's noon. The masses live by a clock. They don't live by their thoughts. They're controlled by habit. They're controlled by other people. You'll hear people say, well, they can't all be wrong. I like the way Earl Nightingale used to put it. He said, if you see a large mass of people moving in one direction and 1 or 2 going in the other direction, and you're not going to be thinking, he said, if you're just going to follow other people, follow the 1 or 2, and you'll probably never make another mistake as long as you live. The masses historically have always gone in the wrong direction. You just join in and away you go. I remember when I was a young guy, there was a group of fellas that I was hanging around with. They said, we're joining the Navy. Are you coming, Bob? And I said, sure. I'd never given any thought to a boat, let alone a ship. Why did I do that? Well, the other kids were doing it. Why did I do that? Well, as a little kid, you're told, go on outside, be like the rest of the kids. The only thing you couldn't be like. You're a unique individual. But we move into this mass consciousness, and we just move along like herded animals. How do we break out of the mass? Well, I can tell you how I broke out of the mass. I started to read. I started to read books that triggered ideas in my mind of a better way of life. And what happened was I aspired to something better than what I had. You see, we've gone from the animal to the mass to aspiration. And you aspire to be more, to have more, to do more than you've already got. How do we break away from this mass consciousness, from just following the crowd? You move into the 3rd level of awareness, and it's called aspiration. And that's when you become aware that something in you wants you to live a fuller life. want you to live a richer life, want you to be more than you are, to do more and to have more. And when that aspiration becomes strong enough, we want to break away. But as we go to break away and move into the fourth level, and that is individual consciousness, that's where we want to express our uniqueness as a human being. I'm going to tell you this. The paradigms that conditioning is trying to pull us back to the mass. We're worried about what they think. We're concerned with what the other people, what would the neighbors think? And we were programmed to do that as a child. So although the idea is there, we aspire to be more than we are, the mass consciousness is trying to pull us back. How do we step into that fourth level and begin to express our uniqueness as a human being? Well, it's coupled with the fifth level, discipline. And discipline is where you give yourself a command and follow it. This is how you break away from the masses. This is how you begin to express your own uniqueness as a human being. This is when you take the aspiration to move ahead and express your uniqueness and do it. You give yourself a command and follow it. Now, when you do that, the sixth level is ready-made for you. You gain the experience, and that's what learning is all about. Learning is when you consciously entertain an idea, you get emotionally involved in the idea, and you act on the idea, and you change the end result. And it's the change in result, the experience of the change in result, that came about because you disciplined yourself. You gave yourself a command and follow it. You followed the aspiration to express your uniqueness. That's what the learning is. And it's when you do that, when you step into that sixth area and you keep experiencing greater things, that you move on to the seventh, and then you begin to master what you're doing. And what do we talk about mastering what we're doing? We stop letting the physical world control us, and we begin to control ourselves. We begin to think, and we let our thoughts guide our world.